So there was a report that came out about a week or so ago about how the fastest growing political YouTube channel is a guy by the name of Benny Johnson. Now,
wow, I can't believe what I just saw, what I just came across, and I have to absolutely show it and share it with you guys because you too are going to be blown away, and if you're not, I am going to be completely shocked that you do not find this to be the least bit concerning.
I know a lot of you guys are probably familiar with Benny Johnson.
And before we get into this, guys, please do me a favor. Bear with me with this Florida condensation and these Freedom jets flying overhead. Just comment down below and let me know, who do you guys watch? What YouTubers do you watch? Who do you like? Or better yet, maybe even include some channels that either you haven't seen lately because YouTube hasn't been showing them to you, or some that you've unsubscribed from because they may have said some things that really angered you and really pissed you off, and you said that you didn't want to deal with them anymore. Or better yet, YouTube channels that you see or have seen with tremendous growth, just blowing up more so than normal, just crazy numbers, right? Because I want to know. I want to use this to develop this conversation that we can continue having together, but also to help other people, specifically the people that I coach and I work with, who are going through these same growing phases, growing pains, and building their channels, building their businesses, and building their subscriber count, okay? So just help me out with that. And if you want to get yours started, or you want to talk about your channel, figure out how it works, or just discuss any other business related, personal finance, investing, passive income, then make sure you join and become a member to the Patreon. The link's down below in the description.
But he's sort of like a Tucker Carlson knockoff. He's like a dollar store Tucker Carlson or Temu Tucker Carlson. Super try hard. Definitely in the closet, by the way. There was that story of him tweeting something like, hey, what's up with these ads that are on this website? And it was like a gay singles cruise ad. And then people were replying to him like, those are targeted ads, right? So he outed himself in the funniest way imaginable. But anyway.
And we are going to get back to that in just a moment, folks. So bear with me here. Stick with me because we're going places, all right? First, I want to take a little trip down memory lane, back on the campaign trail of 2024, and a very, very wildly popular RNC, Republican National Convention, and speeches, and a familiar face here that typically, literally at that moment, set a precedent of finally not endorsing Democrats, and for good reason. Here, watch.
Welcome back. A major shift is underway with one of the biggest unions in the country. After decades spent in the Democrats' pocket, the Teamsters are now pouring money into the GOP. The Teamsters, like so many other working class Americans, have seen how radical the left has become. They realize that much of the party no longer represents them, and the focus on woke progressive policies, it has not made their lives any better. It's only made it worse. And we saw this union shift happening during the election, Brian. We talked about it a lot. We covered it a lot. Still, top members, union bosses supported the Democrats, but rank and file really started to part ways because they saw under the Biden administration that all the things they were promised were never delivered.
A massive shift happening online in the conservative influencer world. YouTubers, podcasters, and big name commentators like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens too. What's the shift? It's a move from principle to profit, where the message is getting diluted, convoluted, and frankly, deceptive, all for personal gain. There's a storm brewing in the conservative space, and it's not about policy or ideology. It's about authenticity. But say it ain't so. Are we now seeing influencers who once rode the wave of Make America Great Again now twisting narratives for clout and for cash? And take Candace Owens. Back when she was running Degree 180, her website was all about tearing down Donald Trump with crude attacks like mocking his, let's just say personal attributes. Fast forward, She's a MAGA darling and rising star using Trump's name to skyrocket her brand. How about Tucker Carlson? Same story. Yeah. Private texts show he called Trump a demonic force and a destroyer, yet on camera, he's all smiles, leveraging Trump's base for his platform. Is this loyalty? Looks a lot more like opportunism to me. But this shift became crystal clear with their recent feud with Nick Fuentes, a controversial far-right figure, and how earlier this month, Candace and Tucker sat down for a 2-hour interview on Tucker's show, throwing shade at Fuentes, calling him everything from a fraudulent voice to an angry gay kid, and even hinting he's a federal agent. But Fuentes fired back, accusing them of a coordinated attack to stay relevant. What do you all think? Some say this isn't about truth. It's a calculated drama to keep their names trending, their subscriptions growing, and their bank accounts fat. They say it's a circus, and we're the audience that they're banking on. And with just a little bit of research, we uncover the pattern, and it's undeniable. Candace climbed the ladder by cozying up to figures like Gavin McInnes and Laura Loomer, only to ditch them when they weren't useful anymore. Meanwhile, Tucker, well, he's been caught sitting down with discredited figures, pushing their hidden truths to keep his audience hooked. They both use Trump, the most powerful name in conservative politics, to build their brands. But now, when Trump's at his peak, they're suddenly turning on him. Candace questions his stance on free speech when it suits her narrative. Tucker frets about Trump's decision on Iran, painting him as reckless. But why? Why now? Well, it's simple. Because controversy sells, and they're cashing in. And despite what they want you to believe, they're anything but independent. This shift isn't just annoying. It's actually dangerous. These influencers are peddling lies and conspiracies like blood libels against groups like Jews, while ignoring real threats like jihadist actions. They're not just diluting the conservative message, they're convoluting it with half-truths and drama to keep folks clicking. It's a cult of personality where their influence is worth billions to brands, and they'll say whatever keeps the money flowing. Meanwhile, they leave a trail of discarded allies and confused followers who thought they were fighting for truth. It's time to wake up. Folks, stop falling for the slick production and charismatic delivery. Look at their actions, not their words. Believe half of what they say and none of what you hear. Trump, for all his flaws, has been consistent for decades. Same message, same fight. Compare that to the ever-shifting Candace and Tucker who pivot with the wind for profit. We deserve better. Demand authenticity. Support voices who live the truth, not just sell it. And next time you see a flashy conservative influencer stirring the pot, ask yourself, is this about principle or is it about their paycheck?
Yeah, Sean O'Brien seems smart in the sense that he's listening to the people in his union. And he's saying, my union members are not as monolithically Democrat as union leaders are. And so he's paying attention to them. And he's doing it in places where you have heavy union presence, but you have a populace willing to elect a Republican. I mean, Pete Stauber is from Minnesota. He's one example. He's on this list. Yeah. Teamsters are giving him money. He's up in kind of northeast Minnesota, which is traditionally very Democratic, very blue collar. But he's a Republican because he's a smart Republican because he said, I care about working people, and I know you don't care. I know that you don't like when men play women's sports. I know that you don't like when your tax dollars are used to pay for sex changes for minors, right? It's a very simple thing. And union members who have traditionally gone left have said, yeah, I want somebody who can talk sense on economics and who can talk sense on all the other issues. The Republicans have sort of navigated that, and now increasingly, I think unions are having to navigate that same thing.
And we talked earlier about how in Silicon Valley, rank and file may be breaking from leadership now. So you see some weird parallels here. They're not exactly alike, but you basically see how leadership and the makings up of a company or a union or whatever the organization is, Lou, can be very, very different. But we're seeing these shifts that are really palpable, and they have an impact. And that's why I bring up the Silicon Valley example on the other side.
Yeah, I think it's a question of, is this an early indicator or just an anomaly, right? If we go back to the election, the interesting thing to me is you could tell where the election was going early on based upon Florida county voting switches. Early voting, you saw in 2016 that went heavily Trump, flipped back to Biden in 2020, and then the early voting showed them changing tides and coming back to the Republican Party. So I think this is an indicative of that shift that's happening. But to Brian's point, too, I think it's also listening. It's effective listening, right? Remember, what did the voters want in the presidential election? Immigration, border safety, and the economy were two things that were top of their list. And you're talking about candidates now, unions gravitating toward people that are talking common sense and listening to what they care about and making that the cornerstone of their campaigns.
Well, and that's my biggest gripe with the Biden-Harris administration, because they would say, we're going to help the working class, which includes union members, and they did anything but help the working class. So eventually people start to look at policy and say, you know, you're not putting food on my table. I got to go with the guy who is going to help me do that.
We are in a basketball game right now, if you'll excuse the metaphor, where the refs have left the arena. And the other side is just clobbering the shit out of us, just punching us in the face, kicking us in the nuts. And we're kind of throwing our hands up and we're asking the crowd, the people of America, hey, do you see what's going on here? This is unfair. This isn't the rules that we agreed to play by. Well, who cares about the fucking rules right now? Punch back, kick back, dunk over their heads, and win some fucking power.
I think it's two things. The Republicans have won over more and more of the Teamsters, the union voters, but they've been helped so much by the Democrat Party that's gone so far left with all these radical policies that the average person just doesn't relate to. And I think that's continuing because the Democrats still do not have a platform. They don't even have a leader. What do they stand for? They don't even know. And I think all of that is, of course, to the advantage of the Republicans who keep chipping away to be the party of the working class, because the Democrats certainly aren't.
Lydia brought that up in a previous conversation in our previous hour about how the lack of proper messaging from the Democrats actually gives Mondami an opening to flourish in this particular environment, because he flashes that smile and does the social media thing and goes out and shakes some hands, and all of a sudden they're gravitating towards him.
Yeah, he's not their success story. He's like an example of their failure, I think. I think that unions, though, generally are in a fight for their life. It's existential, because if you just look at the data, their membership is dwindling. I mean, BLS just put out data recently that says last year membership nationwide dropped to 9.9%, so under 10%. This is a historic low, down from last year. And when you compare that to like 40 years ago, it was roughly 20% of the workforce that was unionized. And when you break that apart a little bit more, the private sector, we're at a historic low for union membership. We're at 5.9%. Very low. Still a stranglehold on that public sector jobs. It's over 30%. So more than roughly 1 in 3 public sector workers are a member of a union, which goes back to the whole DOGE thing. Shrinking the federal workforce shrinks the union membership. And stranglehold, especially when you think about the Department of Education. So when you hear about Sean O'Brien pivoting, and I go out and I cover issues like the U.S. Steel Workers or the port strike, and I talk to membership, the union bosses are doing the smart thing, because they're asking themselves, why is our membership dwindling? You know, they flex hard and they talk a big game under the Biden administration because they knew they had power, because they knew that the union bosses that Biden would do whatever the union bosses would say. But that's not the case anymore. So Sean O'Brien is reading the room and playing the cards right, and he's saying, listen, we got to be more accommodating to a conservative, smart worker.
If your union relies on a private sector business, then you've got to figure out how to help the private sector thrive. If your union relies on taxpayer money through the government, those are the most far left unions, the ones that are government unions, because they don't have to worry about their money and they don't have to worry about their jobs, and they just tap into taxpayer money to push their agenda. So it's interesting to see the private sector unions, I think, adapting faster because they're under private sector, the tough hand of the market that makes them change.
What does it say? All money ain't good money, Jerry.
Say it again.
All money ain't good money, Jerry.
One time.
August 15th, we...
I still
Threats
think
that much more existential
it all
to
comes
them.
down to money. And, you know, we've been talking as a theme on the program about how things have become the affordability crisis in the sort of rise of this Mandami character and why he's resonating with people. But Trump also seized on that, too. And we've mentioned their solutions to the affordability crisis are very different. But as competition continues and it just gets harder and harder to make it in this world and to feel like you're getting ahead, I feel like union membership is looking and saying, who's going to bring the manufacturing jobs back?
Yep.
Joe Biden didn't do that for us, even though he promised us that he would. Who's trying to crush the middle class? Joe Biden said that he was a middle-class guy growing up and that he wanted to strengthen the middle class, but actually it shrunk. And as we see characters like Mandami gain more of a foothold, you're going to see that polarization between extreme elite wealthy and everybody else. You're going to see that gap widen with no middle class in between. And so I think they're just waking up to seeing what the tea leaves are and saying, I don't want to go down that road. I want to stick with the party that's going to preserve my job and make sure that, you know, we'll still be here and we'll be able to make it.
This guy's YouTube channel was growing not only more than anybody else's, but like it was like double or triple that of anybody else. And there were a bunch of fishy aspects about it too, because at the same time, his views weren't going up. So David Pakman's going to lay this out for you, and he calls it the most suspicious thing he's ever seen on YouTube. And I can say, being in this space full time since about 2012, I agree. So let's see what he says.
I want to talk to you today about the most suspicious thing that I've ever seen on YouTube. And it has everything to do with a YouTuber named Benny Johnson. Now, I published a piece on Substack about this where I go into even more detail, but let me explain what this is about. I've been publishing political content to YouTube for a very long time. If you dig way back...
I actually think he's been doing it longer than me. I think I was like 2012, maybe 2013. I think he was, before me, he was posting stuff.
You'll find videos from 2009. They make me cringe, yes.
See, now I think he's been doing it full time since then, if I remember correctly, right?
And I'd hate to say it because honestly, guys, I got to be real with you. I couldn't afford it to have to pay to get subscribers, to have to pay to have visibility, to have to pay the platform. I literally went through this just today because I had to pay Yahoo for more space in my email inbox because I ran out of space. Now, the crazy part about it is I could probably go through and start deleting emails, but I really just didn't have the time. And they knew they had me by the balls. So now they're getting a monthly fee from me for storage space for my email inbox so I can actually get the emails that I really want and need. Why is my inbox full? I don't know. Maybe it's full because it's completely full of spam and junk that Yahoo allows to come through, and they do not stop, do not prevent. And when I ask to unsubscribe, my requests, my demands are unanswered. They fall on deaf ears. This is a racket, folks. And it's not just Yahoo, and it's not just email, and it's not just YouTube either. YouTube is like the dope man. They give you that first hit for free, and then you got to come back and buy the rest. And they will get you hooked. And then they'll get you hooked on buying more services or promoting your videos or doing things that are going to pay YouTube more and you less. And this is exactly why I work so closely with people to make sure that YouTube is not their primary source of income. You use YouTube as leverage, as an opportunity to reach your clients and reach your customers, to grow your business and make your money that way.
Because I started as a hobby in 2008, so I actually was before him, but I think he started full-time before me.
But after 15 years on this platform, you learn a few of the things that are just reality. Number one, video performance is unpredictable. You think a video will do well, it doesn't. You think a video will do okay, it blows up. You just sometimes don't know. Number two, if you talk about politics, half your audience will hate you, at least the ones that comment. And this is the key part for us. New subscribers track closely with video views, unless something weird is going on.
And yes, I do get from time to time people saying that they're not interested in making YouTube channels. They don't want to show their face, or, you know, they're just too old for it. That's perfectly fine. That's exactly why we are diversified in not just our business and our strategies, but in the resources that we have, that we share and we bring to you guys on a regular basis. My favorite, my friends, Chapter. Please give them a call. the numbers on the screen. It's fast, it's simple, it's easy, it's free, and at the very least can save you money. On average, $1,100. So if you or anyone you know is on Medicare or soon to be, as the open enrollment period is coming and it's approaching fast, folks, do not wait until it's too late. Dial that number on your screen, 270-467-2426. Tell them Kevin sent you, and then come back here and let me know how much money they saved you.
To get more new subscribers, you have to have more video views. If your video views go down, you're going to have fewer new subscribers, except if something very weird is happening. And this week, writer and researcher Kyle Tharp published a piece called "This Right-Wing YouTuber is Having a Moment." The YouTuber in question is Benny Johnson. The headline stat is that in Q2 of this year, Benny Johnson's YouTube channel gained 2.2 million subscribers.
First of all, this chart, insane. That's shocking to me. But anyway, that Benny Johnson's lead, that's fishy as fuck.
Politics-related channel of the second quarter, by far. Now, why is this unusual? It's unusual because the growth in subscribers for Benny Johnson does not match growth in views. In fact, his views appear to be down slightly. Now, before we go deeper, remember who we're dealing with here. Benny Johnson was caught up in this 2024 scandal where it was revealed that he was indirectly receiving Russian money through a company called Tenet. Johnson and others said we had no idea the money came from Russia. The payment rates were wildly above market rate, in some cases $400,000 a month. Some even had six-figure signing bonuses. So this is not someone with a spotless track record. Now let's get back to the data.
So yeah, he was part of that scandal where he was taking money from the Russian government through Tenet Media. So he's already got a sketchy-ass record. But
on Friday morning, President Trump will travel across the country to Anchorage, Alaska, for a bilateral meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The brutal war between Russia and Ukraine broke out under Joe Biden's incompetent leadership. But President Trump is determined to try and end this war and stop the killing. As the president has said over and over again, his strong preference will always be for peace and partnership, whenever those outcomes can possibly be achieved. There is no leader in the world right now who has been more committed to preventing wars or ending them than President Donald Trump.
Look, I'll just say it. With his views going down, but his subs, he gains 2.2 million subs, that literally is not possible. That's not possible. That's inauthentic. That's fraudulent. Whether or not he knew about it and is in on it, that's a separate question. Maybe, maybe not on that front. I have no idea whether or not he knew about this happening or didn't know about this happening. But there is inauthentic, fraudulent behavior going on. It's got to be bots. It's got to be something to make you grow that much while having fewer views. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's not how it works.
And buying subscribers, buying views is a terrible way to grow a YouTube channel. I would strongly advise against it. But at the same time, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about what you've seen so far, what you've heard, and the allegations here?
Like, it literally is impossible for it to work like that.
More views means more subscribers. It's not exact, but that's the pattern. Here's a look at my own channel, about 3.3 million subscribers right now. This is actual data from my YouTube analytics, and you can see clearly, more views, more subscribers. It's predictable. That's how it works. Now look at Benny Johnson's data from Q2. The arrows show
not possible. It's literally not possible.
Subscriber growth, but views that are either flat or declining. This is weird. Now compare this to Midas Touch. Midas Touch is one of the fastest growing progressive YouTube channels right now. Similar subscriber numbers, but their views match their subscriber growth. Midas has had high views, high subscribers. That's what you would expect. So what's going on here? There are really only a few scenarios where you see subscriber numbers and view numbers separate, decouple. Number one, if you say something truly awful, like so disgusting that it encourages your existing subscribers to unsubscribe, you could see that as the views go up of this disgusting thing you said, your net subscribers go down because people go, I got to unsubscribe. This is absolutely disgusting. But that's the opposite of what we're seeing. We're not seeing high views and subscribers going down. We're seeing low views and subscribers going up. And that's what gets us to the most likely scenario, which is some kind of artificial subscriber growth. And this is where things get complicated. Artificial subscriber growth might be completely legal paid ad campaigns. You run YouTube ads or Google ads. They're targeting subscriptions to your YouTube channel. You could do that. It's really inefficient for political channels. I don't know anybody who actually does it because the targeting isn't great. It's just really expensive. You've got to pay a crazy amount of money for a relatively small number of subscribers. However, if someone else is paying for that, if you had a super PAC a foreign government, some propaganda agency, a wealthy ally, the logic changes. They're not worried about profit. They're after influence. So they might just pour money into inflating your channel subscribers through paid campaigns just to boost your reach. Now, there's other scenarios like maybe you're using some kind of technical trick, some auto subscribe pop up somewhere or embedded subscriber links or stuff like that. YouTube's terms of service don't allow that, and that stuff tends to get shut down. And finally, you could do what's called subscriber farming. This is probably the most concerning. There's a sort of black market for YouTube subscribers. You can buy them through click farms, hacked accounts, and in other ways. It's classic manipulation. These are like the tactics that Russia's Internet Research Agency does. You fake the numbers to make it seem as though you have a lot more influence. The fake subscribers are low quality. Over time, they tend to get purged out. But in the short term, they can really boost your clout by showing a really high subscriber number. So what is Benny Johnson actually doing? I have no idea. I want to be clear. I don't have evidence that any of the things I mentioned are happening on his channel. After 15 years of being on YouTube, I have never seen subscriber growth like this without a spike in views. I've talked to other creators. None of them have ever seen it. Whatever is going on, the implications are big, and it's bigger than YouTube. If this is a coordinated third-party campaign, it raises really serious questions about influence operations manipulating platform metrics.
And this is pretty much only just the beginning, because we saw during the election campaign last year, but now the stakes are bigger, higher. The money's going to be flowing, and also we have AI that we're going to have to somehow manage, deal with, compete with, filter through.
Yeah, it's so true. Basically, like, if he gets away with it, you've now opened the door to having YouTube completely inauthentic numbers on YouTube, which leads to inauthentic influence in the culture, which leads to, you know, coverage of certain viewpoints over other viewpoints. And it's incredibly misleading, and it steers the national dialogue and the conversation. It basically makes our entire political landscape completely and utterly fraudulent. And so this is something they gotta crack down. They gotta fix this. You cannot let this stand.
This is an algorithmic exploit. It would mean YouTube's defenses are weaker than we thought. That impacts everybody. And if this is paid acquisition for political gain, even legally, it could trigger a new arms race for artificial growth. And that will warp the field for independent voices, small creators, and those who don't have the pockets to generate artificial growth.
That's another great point. So, like, if he can do it, others are going to do it too. And that'll drown out the real people with real views. And it's just, it's like, it becomes like a race to the bottom. Because then what? In order to stay relevant, everybody's got to start buying subscribers? Like, what are we talking about here?
Now, if this is straight up fraud, bots purchase subscribers, that would mean it's still pretty easy to game the system. And the fallout isn't just views or clout. It's media coverage. It's look at the growth of this channel.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, fuck the dude who wrote that article. Like, nah, you can't reward that sort of inauthentic bullshit from this guy. Because now, okay, what's to stop Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder, whoever the fuck, from doing the same shit?
And I don't know who this guy is, so don't shoot the messenger. It's just something that popped up on my feed today, and I wanted to share with you guys so that you were aware, but also to get your feedback.
Right? And what's to stop somebody from doing it on the Democratic side too? Like, you can't do that. You gotta know what you're talking about, know what's real and what's not real.
Must be saying important things. Well, is he, or is there some kind of artificial subscriber acquisition here? So this is by far the most suspicious thing I've seen on YouTube, and it hurts all of the progressive channels because many of us don't have the third party or whatever it is that is just dumping money into artificial growth.
And it's also a problem when it comes to the ad system that they've set up on YouTube, because if Benny Johnson remains in this place and is completely fraudulent and inauthentic, then how long until the companies that advertise realize, hey, we're spending all this money for YouTube ads, but apparently a lot of the views are completely and utterly fraudulent, and people aren't actually watching the shit that we thought they were watching, so why would I waste money putting ads on YouTube? And it could lead to another advertiser exodus, similar to Adpocalypse, when we went through that fucking bullshit, right? So no part of this is acceptable. And anybody with any power at YouTube who's listening to me right now, hey dog, y'all better get on this. Y'all better crack down and do something with this Benny Johnson shit, because this is not, this is like the whole system is at risk based off his bullshit here.
What can we do? Number one, if you see something that doesn't make sense, report it to the platform that you're seeing it on. And number two, this is free. just make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channels of the creators you actually support.
Man, that is wild, dog. That is wild. But it would be him, right? Because he was one of the original people involved with the Tenet media scandal, with taking money from the Russian government. And by the way, if he was willing to take that money from the Russian government, who's he not willing to take money from? He could be taking money from fucking Israel. He could be taking money from any of a number of corporations or right-wing think tanks. He's basically a paid fucking mercenary commentator is what he is. I mean, these people are just grotesque, man. I just have an endless well of hatred for the people who are doing this and don't actually believe in anything and don't care about anything and do inauthentic bullshit stuff like fraudulently grow their channel in a way where they're just lying to the world. Down with these charlatans and frauds, man. I can't fucking stand them. And they're putting the whole system at risk. And for what? For what? Hey, yo.
Well, I can assure you guys, I'm not buying subscribers or views or any of that shit. No way. But hey, if you like the video, subscribe, drop a comment, check out the links, call Chapter, save money on Medicare if possible. Join us over on School with the free community for passive income and money savings, and hop on over to Patreon if you want to talk more about business and growing your YouTube channel.